Hi, I'm Patty. I'm a jewelry designer here at Fire Mountain Gems and Beads. And today I'm going to take you through making a chevron pattern friendship bracelet. A friendship bracelet is actually a form of macrame, and they're formed by a series of knots. So you can use a variety of materials. Here's some leather cord that's been used, some silk cord. There's even a stretch cord. You can embellish your friendship bracelet and put different materials on it. You can make a traditional string tie. You can make a button closure. You can use clasps. There's just a wide variety of things that you can do. There's just a few examples. So let's get started. The first thing that I do for making this traditional friendship bracelet is I'll cut cord in the proper length. Now, most friendship bracelets, when you see the directions, they tell you to cut about 70 inches of each cord. That's really dependent on the cord that you're using. So if you're using something really thin, like this silk thread or embroidery floss, which is kind of a traditional material, you only need 70 inches. But if you're using something thicker like this 1mm bugtail, you need quite a bit more. And then you also need to vary your length depending on the size of your wrist. So what you want the overall length of your bracelet to be. I really like to err on the side of caution and cut a little bit extra, because it's not great to get 3/4 of a way through your project and then run out of one color. So when I did this, I cut about 82 inches of each cord. I've actually got some pre-cut strips. I've already cut about 82 inches of each of these colors. We've got a blue, a pink, and a green. And I've got them so they're about even on the end. They don't have to be perfect, but you want them to be fairly close to even on the end. And so I'm just going to loop those around my finger and pull tight so they're all about the same down here. And I'm going to make a simple knot. You'll see the knot here. So I'll take those off of my finger, pinch them together. And don't worry about the order that they're in when you do this. And just fold it around. Grab just the end of that, and I'm going to pull with my dominant hand, which is my right hand, to make that knot. So I've got a nice set of loops at the end. And to tighten this knot, because I really want it to stay well, I'm going to go to each of these individual strands and I'm just going to pull them individually. And that'll give me a really great, nice, tight base to work from. You can see I've got a really good knot there. I'm just going to kind of pull these over to the side for now. I recommend using a clipboard like we have set up here. You can use just a regular legal size or letter size clipboard at home. You can also tape this knot to a surface. Some people use a T-pin in a cork board. There's a lot of ways to do it. The clipboard works best for me. So I'm going to clip the knot directly under the clip. So the first thing we're going to do is decide what we're going to do with our knots. So the left side of the bracelet is going to use 2 forward knots. The right side of the bracelet is going to use 3 backward knots. And that's going to be the same all the way through my piece, all the way down. I'm just going to leave this here for reference so you get an idea of what we're doing. We're going to start using the strand directly next to the outside strand as your anchor. This is your anchor. And then the pink strand is our working strand for this row. So the first row we're going to make is a row of pink knots. I'm going to make my 4. I'm going to make my 4. Hold my anchor strand firmly, and then I'm going to push my working strand underneath through the body of the 4, and the tail is going to end up to the left. So I'm going to pull to the left and make a nice tight knot. That's half of my knot. I'm going to come back down and I'm going to make a 4 again. Hold my anchor strand tightly. Push under my anchor strand. Bring the tail of my working strand through the body of the 4 and pull to the left to complete the knot. Now I have, you can't see it very well, but it's there. I have the first knot in my bracelet. I'm going to set this strand aside and I'm going to go to the next strand. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now this green is my anchor strand. So I'm going to make my 4. Hold my anchor strand firmly, pull up through, and tighten to the left. And I'm going to do it a second time to finish that off. Now I've finished my 2 knots on the left side of my piece. I'm going to go over to the right side of my piece, and then I'm going to make a row of knots that go down toward my knots that are already there. So we're going to use a backward knot for this side of the piece. The blue is my anchor strand here. I'm going to make my 4. You can see the pink is my working strand. Hold my blue anchor strand firmly. Go around the anchor strand through the body of the 4. And now you can see the tail is coming out to the right. So I'm going to tighten it to the right this time, nice and tight. I'm going to make another 4 to finish off that knot. Pull up firmly. And there I have my completed backward knot. I'm going to move the blue out of the way. And now the green is my anchor strand. I'm going to make another 4. Pull the tail up through the body of the 4, holding my anchor strand firmly, and pull up to the right to tighten that. Now we've made 4 knots, 2 on each side. We need to connect the center of this and make the little apex of the chevron. We do that by taking the 2 pink strands are now our middle strands. I'm going to use, this is a backward knot, so the left is my anchor and the right is my working strand. I'm going to bring that around the anchor, and since it's a backward knot, the tail is coming out to the left. I'm going to tighten up, the tail is coming out to the right. I'm going to tighten to the right. Then I'm going to make another 4 to finish that knot. Hold my anchor strand tightly. And nice and tight, finish that first row of chevrons. So now we have the first completed row of the chevron in the pink color. You can see that the pinks have migrated to the inside and now the blues are the outside. So the blue will be our next row color. The green will be the anchor strand. I'll make a 4, making my forward knot, pull it through, and tighten. Make my 4, pull it through, and tighten. Set the green aside, and now the pink is my anchor strand. Make my 4, pull it through, and tighten. Make my 4, pull it through, and tighten to finish that knot. Now the blue is on the inside. I'm going to go to the right side of my piece and make my backward knots. The green will be my anchor strand first. I will make my 4, pull it through, and tighten. Make my 4, pull it through, and tighten to the right, finishing that knot. Set the green aside. The pink is now my anchor. Make my 4, pull it through, tighten to the right, make my 4, pull it through, tighten to the right, finishing that backward knot. Now my blues have migrated to the center and I need to connect the halves. The left strand is my anchor, the right strand is my working strand. I make my 4, pull it through for the first half of that knot, tighten to the right, make my 4, pull it through, tighten to the right. Now you can see that this flipped around. The way to fix that is just see the pink is showing and it should be blue. All this should be blue right now because we're making a blue row. So you can just grab this pink strand, pull it really tight, and that will flip it back around. Set that out of the way, and then we can finish our knot. That's a fortuitous thing that happened because that can happen, and if you can see the pink, your bracelet isn't going to be correct. So now we've finished 2 rows, and you're just going to continue doing this. Your outsides are always going to be your working color, so the next row will be green, and the insides on the next row will migrate over. So it just keeps working in a wave like that. So now we have 2 completed pattern rows of our chevron bracelet, pink, blue, green, pink, blue, green. And I'm going to continue that pattern down my bracelet. And when I'm deciding how long I want my bracelet to be, I'm going to make sure and leave an allowance for the knots at the end and the loops. So I want a 7.5-inch bracelet about. So I'll probably make my rows about 6.25 inches in length. So I'm just going to continue. Okay, when you've finished making your rows and you need to make the knot in the end of your piece, just straighten your rows out, loop them around your finger, and I kind of like to make a little twist there. It makes it easier to push through. And then just make sure that your knot is going to be right up against your rows. Just about like that. Then in order to make this knot nice and tight, I'm going to pull these strands individually. And that really tightens the knot well. Now to finish this off, I'm going to go ahead and, so I'm a little closer to my clip and I have more control, fold my bracelet over and just clip it in half. It's fine to do that. Now I would take my E6000 Fraylock, which is a great glue for fabric of any kind. And I would inject a little bit of the glue right in, just not much, just a little bit, right in the edges of the knots. And I like to take a Q-tip and just wipe away the excess that's on the outside. It'll dry clear, and it's not super hard. It's nice and flexible. It's not like, say, super glue. And I'll do that on this side, and I'll also turn it over and just inject a little bit on the other side of the knot. Clear away the excess and let that dry. For the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead now and finish this off. So you can either leave one strand like you see here on our example, and you can put this through the loop and tie it to itself, or you can do 2 strands. I think I'm going to go ahead and leave these green strands out. So I'm going to push those out of the way. And I'm going to cut right close to the knot, making sure that I don't cut my green strands. Just like that. Then I can go in with some nippers and cut those a little closer if I want to later. Then I'm going to leave, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches. And then I have my completed friendship bracelet. In order to put this on, I'm just going to slip one of the strings through these series of loops at the end. Open those up a bit. Just like that. And then tie it. You can either tie it in a bow for easy removal, or if you want to leave it on, you can just tie it in a knot. And then you have your completed friendship bracelet.